Gazze'de ateşkes başladı. Yaklaşık 50 günde neredeyse 15.000 sivil hayatını kaybetti. CNN Türk'ten Enver Kaptanoğlu'na konuşan İsrail Ordusu Sözcüsü ise sivil can kayıplarıyla ilgili sorumluluk almazken hastanelerin böyle zamanlarda meşru hedef olduğunu iddia etti.
And let's continue with the Shifa Hospital. So, did you find what you exactly said, Hamas command center?
And your question is very right. In the end, we knew that we won't find a terror command center the size of the American Pentagon or the Turkish army from the size, because inside the Gaza Strip, a very densely populated area where a terror organization is operating in densely populated areas and civilian infrastructures, the terror command centers are split and basically inside buildings.
Savaşın başından bu yana Şah Hastanesi'nde komuta merkezi olduğunu öne süren İsrail ordusu tüneller ve silahlar bulduklarını söyledi. Ancak bir komuta merkezi buldukları iddiasını doğrulayamadı. CNN Türk'e özel açıklamalar yapan İsrail Ordu Sözcüsü Arye, Shalicar böyle zamanlarda hastanelerin meşru hedef olduğunu iddia etti.
Hospitals in Gaza in general, so they still couldn't work because lack of oil, and while patients and especially the babies need medical care. So in spite of knowing that, why don't you allow oil transfer to the especially hospitals?
According to international humanitarian law, a hospital which is used as a launching pad for terror organizations and terror infrastructure while you're in a war, it's a legitimate target. That doesn't mean that we are targeting it, but we can go into the hospital, make sure that we dismantle the terror infrastructure inside these hospitals.
You just said legitimate target. Is that mean if there is a member of Hamas inside the hospital, while there are patients and civilians who are receiving medical care, so is that means that you could bomb there?
That's not what I said. I said according to international humanitarian law, a place, no matter what the place is called in regular life, if it's called a school or if it's called a building where people live, if it's a hospital, it turns into a legitimate target in war times if a military or a terror organization uses it for terrorist all kind of operations and activity.
İsrail güçleri haftalardır Gazze'yi vuruyor. Binlerce bina yıkıldı. Okullar, hastaneler hedef alındı. İsrail Ordu Sözcüsü yine de Gazze'deki sivil ölümleriyle ilgili sorumlulukları olmadığını iddia etti, Hamas'ı suçladı.
You just said Hamas is using civilians as a human shields, but isn't there any responsibility of you about the civilian deaths?
Well, these are questions you have to ask Hamas, especially since we as Israeli army, we protect our people. Just in a war, like each side should protect its own people, but Hamas is not protecting their own people. They do exactly the difference.
İsrail Gazze'yi tamamen boşaltmak istiyor. Siviller güneye gitsin denilmişti. Güneyde de bazı hedefler İsrail ordusu tarafından vuruldu. İsrail Ordu Sözcüsü Gazze'deki sivilleri güvenlik için güneye gönderip güneyi bombalamanın çelişki yaratıp yaratmadığına ise roket atılan yerleri vuruyoruz diyerek cevap verdi.
A month ago you have told the civilians go to the south for safety, but also on that time you were bombing the civilian commons, ambulances and south itself too. Isn't that a contradiction?
Well, first of all, we don't just attack places because we are bored or something. We attack places where terrorists fire rockets on Israel from. Just imagine if you would be in Turkey in a situation where 10,000 rockets would be fired from a neighboring country or organization into Istanbul, Ankara, Bodrum, and Diyarbakir. What would you do? Would you react? Would you defend yourself?
Turkey, of course, defends itself, but it's not the case. Actually, the point is, more than 30,000 civilians that were killed by your bombings.
Well, I don't know what exactly you mean, but what I can say is that in the end, wherever terrorists fire from, we as a state and military, which is our job to protect our people, if someone shoots at you, you shoot back. If they are embedded in the middle of their own population and not shooting from a military outpost, the crime which is committed is done by the Hamas.
Ve 7 Ekim saldırılarında hayatını kaybeden İsrailli siviller. İsrail ordusu Hamas'ın sızma girişimiyle ilgili sorumluluk almaktan kaçındı.
So when it comes to the Israeli civilians, on October 7, do you think that you could protect the Israeli citizens?
Well, October 7 was a massacre which, from our viewpoint, from the Jewish people and Israel, was the biggest massacre on us, on the Jewish people, since the end of World War II, since the end of the Holocaust. And you can understand that the entire country is still in an aftershock situation. And that's why we all understand that the two goals of the military and of the state of Israel, everyone, the whole country, 10 million people, we stand behind these two goals.